My name is Nathan. I'm 28 years old, and I've always been the quiet one in my family, the kind who'd slip out of a room rather than stoke an argument. But nothing could have prepared me for the storm that erupted at my sister's wedding. A storm sparked by a single phone call that spiraled into something I still replay in my mind. If you've ever been betrayed by a family member in a way so shocking it feels like a dream, you'll understand the disbelief I felt standing there in my suit, clutching a champagne glass, trying to look supportive on what was meant to be her perfect day. The first half of the evening unfolded as expected. Guests mingled around tables covered in crisp white linen, the band played a lively tune, and my mother glided through the room, beaming as if she were the star of the show. She thrives at events like this, soaking up the attention, the compliments, and the chance to subtly boast about how much effort she put into making her daughter's wedding flawless. I've always known she cared more about appearances than truth, but I let it go. After all, it was my sister's day, and despite my mixed feelings about how pampered she'd been growing up, I wanted her to be happy. But as the first course was served, my phone vibrated in my pocket. I nearly ignored it, assuming it was a friend sending congratulations, but then I saw the caller ID, my bank. I excused myself, stepped away from the table, and answered. The man on the line introduced himself as the branch manager. His tone was courteous but firm. "Mr. Carter, I'm calling about your overdue loan payment. We've sent notices, but we haven't received a response." My mind went blank. I've never taken out a loan. I work hard, save carefully, and avoid debt like it's a curse. My first thought was that it had to be a mistake. "What loan?" I asked, half laughing because the idea seemed absurd. The manager paused, as if caught off guard by my question. "Sir, the loan under your name, cautioned at our main branch. The one your mother arranged to fund your sister's wedding." His words cut through the buzz of the reception like a knife. I froze, gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles whitened. My heart pounded, and for a moment I thought I'd misheard. My mother alone, in my name, for this wedding. I glanced across the room. There she was, raising a glass, laughing with a friend, as if nothing could disrupt her perfect scene. Fury churned in my gut, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Are you saying," I said into the phone, my voice low but steady, "that my mother took out a loan using my name?" The manager confirmed it, reading off the paperwork details. My full name, my information, everything. I nearly dropped the phone. It was real. This wasn't a mistake or a prank. My own mother had committed fraud to pay for this spectacle. I looked around. My sister glowed in her gown, my new brother-in-law grinning beside her. Did they know? The thought twisted in my chest. Had my sister been in on it? Did my dad? The anger and betrayal surged, mingling with years of memories. The times my mom pressured me to help the family. The countless moments my sister's needs trumped mine, the quiet way my father always went along, as if agreeing was easier than standing up. It all clicked. Of course they'd use me again. Of course they'd sacrifice my future for her moment in the spotlight. I realized I was still on the call, the manager waiting. My next words came out louder than I intended, ringing across the table. "Well then, I guess this wedding is officially canceled because I'm calling the police right now." Heads turned. Conversations halted. My voice, usually quiet and ignored, sliced through the music and chatter like a thunderclap. My mother's smile froze. The band stumbled. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating like the calm before a storm. Chaos erupted instantly. My sister gasped, grabbing my arm with panicked eyes. "Nathan, what are you doing? Don't ruin this." My new brother-in-law looked stunned, his fork hovering midair. My father's face reddened, his jaw tight, as if he wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. And then my mother. Oh, my mother stood, her chair scraping loudly. "Nathan," she snapped, her voice carrying across the room. "Put that phone down. We'll discuss this later." But I wasn't a child anymore, and I wasn't about to be silenced. The manager was still on the line, his voice faint through the speaker. "Sir, if you'd like, I can connect you directly with our fraud department." I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I let the words linger, daring my family to explain themselves. My sister's bridesmaids whispered frantically. Guests exchanged wide-eyed glances, and the murmurs spread like wildfire. The perfect image my mother had crafted, the flawless facade she cherished, was cracking before her eyes. And I was the one holding the hammer. Inside, I was shaking, not from fear, but from the weight of it all. Years of resentment, of being the afterthought, of swallowing my anger to keep the peace. It was all spilling out now. And yet a strange calm settled over me. For the first time, I realized I held the power. They couldn't ignore me anymore. They couldn't brush me aside. I had their secret in my hand, and the entire room knew it. But here's the thing. I didn't hang up. I didn't call the police right away. I just stood there, phone still on speaker, watching my mother's face pale, watching my father shift uncomfortably, watching my sister's eyes fill with tears. Though whether they were for me or her ruined party, I couldn't tell. The silence pressed down as everyone waited for my next move. I didn't budge. My phone was still in my hand, the bank manager's voice faint, and every eye in the room was on me. You know that moment when you realize everyone's waiting for you to either explode or back down? That was it. My palms were sweaty, my chest tight, but for once I wasn't fading into the background. My mother's lips parted like she was about to scold me, but she stopped when she saw my eyes. For years, she'd controlled me through shame and intimidation. Tonight, she couldn't. My sister tugged my sleeve, whispering urgently, "Nathan, stop. Please, not here. Don't do this to me." Her voice cracked, but I could hear the edge of desperation. She wasn't worried about me or the fact that our mother had wrecked my financial future. She was worried about her moment fading. That realization hurt more than I expected. The bank manager broke the silence. "Mr. Carter, do you want me to proceed with the fraud investigation?" His voice carried through the speaker, formal and detached, but it landed like a gunshot in the ballroom. The guests whispered louder, some gasping, others craning their necks to see. The gossip was unstoppable now. My father finally spoke, his voice low, almost pleading. "Nathan, son, let's not make a scene. Your mother she made a mistake. We'll fix it after tonight." He glanced nervously at the guests, as if their judgment was worse than the fact that his wife had committed fraud. I turned to him, my jaw tight. "A mistake? Dad, this isn't forgetting to pick up milk. This is identity theft. This is my credit, my life." My voice cracked slightly at the end, not from weakness, but from the weight of betrayal. My mother straightened, trying to regain her composure. She raised her chin and said with icy calm, "I did what I had to do for this family. You should be grateful, Nathan. Your sister deserves this wedding, and you'll survive a little debt. Family sacrifices for each other." I almost laughed, but it came out bitter. "Sacrifices? Funny, because it's always me on the altar, never her, never you, always me." My words hung in the air, sharp and heavy. My sister flinched, and for the first time I saw something flicker in her eyes. Guilt, maybe, or just fear that I'd follow through. The band, unsure what to do, had stopped playing entirely. You could hear the clink of silverware as someone nervously set down their fork. A child whispered, "What's happening, Mommy?" And the mother shushed them quickly. The entire hall had become a stage, and I was the unwilling star. The bank manager cleared his throat. "Sir, I'll need an answer." Before I could respond, my mother lunged toward me, her hand gripping my wrist. Her nails dug into my skin as she hissed, "Nathan, put the phone away, right now. Don't embarrass me in front of everyone." Her mask was slipping. The sweet, charming hostess was gone, replaced by raw panic. I pulled my arm back. "You don't get to tell me what to do anymore." My voice was louder than I meant, but I didn't care. "You stole from me, you lied to me, and you thought I'd just stay quiet like always, not this time." Gasps erupted from the tables. One of my cousins muttered, "Oh my God," while an older relative shook his head, muttering about disgrace. My sister buried her face in her hands, whispering something to her husband, who looked like he wanted to disappear. Inside, I felt a mix of fury and liberation. I was trembling, yes, but not from fear, from release. All the years of swallowing insults, of being the backup, the forgotten one, it was pouring out now, and there was no stopping it. The bank manager's voice came again, insistent. "Mr. Carter, should I connect you to our fraud department?" I raised the phone slightly, staring at my mother. "What do you think I should say, Mom? Should I tell him yes? Or do you want to explain to the room why their tax dollars might be paying for your bail?" Her face paled. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Real fear, not anger, not control, fear. My father reached for her hand, but she shook him off, still trying to maintain some illusion of authority. "Nathan, enough. You will not ruin your sister's wedding." I tilted my head, the corner of my mouth lifting into a small, humorless smile. "Oh, Moms, you already did that." The whispers grew louder. Guests leaned across tables, their conversations a murmur of disbelief. The perfect picture my mother had built was crumbling faster than she could repair it. And then my sister snapped. She stood, her gown swishing as she shoved back her chair. Her voice was shrill, cutting through the noise. "Nathan, can't you just let me have this one day? Why do you always have to make it about you?" Her words hit like a slap, and my chest tightened. "Always about me?" I turned slowly to face her, my eyes narrowing. "This isn't about me wanting attention, Sarah. This is about our mother stealing my future so you could have a party. You knew, didn't you?" My voice cracked again, raw and wounded. "Tell me the truth, did you know?" Her lips trembled and she glanced at Mom, then at her new husband. Silence. That silence was louder than any confession. My stomach dropped. The betrayal deepened, sharper than before. The bank manager, still on speaker, cleared his throat again. "Sir, if you're not ready to proceed, we can call back tomorrow, but I'll need an answer soon." I didn't reply. My thumb hovered over the screen, the weight of the decision pressing down. My mother's chest heaved as she tried to keep her composure. My father looked away, ashamed. My sister's face was blotchy, tears streaking her makeup. The room was silent, waiting, and then I smiled, a small, cold smile. "No," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You don't get to decide how this ends, I do." The room erupted again, half in whispers, half in stunned silence. My phone was still on speaker. My family was cornered, and for the first time in my life I had all the power. That was the moment everything shifted. That was the moment the mask of our perfect family shattered completely. And what I did next? Well, let's just say no one saw it coming. I could feel the weight of the entire hall pressing in on me. Every breath I took seemed louder than the whispers buzzing from table to table. My hand tightened around the phone, the bank manager still waiting patiently. "Sir, do you need me to stay on the line?" His voice was calm, professional, but the silence around me made it sound like a proclamation. I lowered the phone slightly, keeping the line open while I stared down my family. My mother finally broke, her voice cracking as she hissed, "Nathan, please, not here. We'll sort it out later. I'll make it right." She stepped closer, her eyes darting nervously around the room. She was terrified, not of me, but of what these people thought. Her entire identity was tied to appearances, and now, with a few words, I'd ripped it away. I leaned in just enough for her to hear me clearly. "You'll make it right. You can't even say you're sorry. You can't even admit you did something wrong." My voice trembled, not with fear, but with anger I'd buried for years. My father, still stiff in his chair, rubbed his temples and muttered, "For heaven's sake, Nathan, lower your voice. We'll talk at home." His tone wasn't pleading anymore. It was commanding, the same way he used to silence me as a teenager. For a moment, that old instinct to obey tugged at me, but then I caught sight of my sister. Sarah was crying, her makeup running, but there was something else in her face. Not guilt, not regret, frustration, anger. Like I was the one ruining her perfect day instead of the one betrayed. That look cut deeper than anything my parents said. She knew. She had to. And instead of standing by me, she was glaring at me as if I were the problem. I took a shaky breath and turned to the guests, raising my voice deliberately. "For everyone wondering what's happening, here it is. My mother stole my identity, took out a loan in my name, and used it to pay for this wedding." Gasps. Whispers, heads turning. One of my uncles muttered, "That can't be true." But the bank manager's voice chimed in through the phone like a verdict. "That is correct. The loan is currently overdue, and it is listed under Mr. Nathan Carter's name." His words sent the room into chaos. People clutched their pearls, leaned into each other, shook their heads in disbelief. The gossip was wildfire now, unstoppable. My mother lunged again, but I stepped back. "You don't get to silence me this time." My chest heaved as I looked at my sister. "Sarah, tell me the truth. Did you know?" Her lip quivered. She looked down, then up at me, then down again. No words, the silence was enough. My heart sank, the betrayal sharp and clear. "You didn't know," I whispered, my voice breaking. "You let this happen. You let her ruin me so you could stand here in a dress and smile for pictures." Sarah's husband finally spoke, his voice uneasy. "Nathan, please calm down. This isn't the place." His attempt at reason only fueled my anger. "Not the place," I shot back. "When would be the place? After the bank destroys my credit. After I can't buy a home because my mother decided her daughter's wedding mattered more than my future." The crowd had split now. Some sat in shocked silence, others whispered furiously. I could hear someone say, "Unbelievable, her own son," and another mutter, "This family's a mess." My mother's kingdom was collapsing, and she knew it. "Nathan," she snapped, her voice trembling, "enough. Do you want to humiliate me? Do you want to destroy your sister's happiness? All because of some paperwork." The words stung, not because of what she said, but because of what she didn't. Not once did she acknowledge the betrayal. Not once did she say she was sorry. To her, it was just paperwork. Something inside me hardened. I straightened my back, lifted the phone, and said clearly, "Yes, connect me to the fraud department." My words echoed through the hall. My mother's knees buckled slightly, and she gripped the table to steady herself. But then something unexpected happened. My grandfather, my mom's father, stood up. He was frail, his hair white as snow, but his voice carried with surprising strength. "Is this true?" he demanded, his sharp gaze fixed on my mother. The room fell silent again, all eyes on him. He had always been respected, the quiet patriarch who rarely raised his voice. My mother stammered. "Dad, please, it's not what it sounds like." But he cut her off. "Don't lie to me. Did you take out that loan in Nathan's name?" She faltered, looking between him, me, and the stunned guests. Her lips trembled, and in that moment I saw something I never thought I'd see. My mother, caught with no excuse left. I clenched the phone tighter, my pulse racing. My whole life, she had been untouchable, always right, always in control. But now, in front of everyone she cared about impressing, her empire was crumbling. And just as she opened her mouth to speak, my phone buzzed again. Another call flashed across the screen from the police department. I froze, staring at the screen as the hall held its collective breath. I stared at the screen, the flashing call notification almost blinding me. My thumb hovered for a second before I swiped to accept. The bank manager's line cut off, replaced by a calm but firm voice. "This is Officer Daniels with the Financial Crimes Unit. Mr. Carter, we've received a request to follow up regarding fraudulent loan activity. Are you able to speak right now?" Every muscle in my body tensed. I had a choice: step back, cover this up, save my family from public disgrace, or take the plunge and expose everything once and for all. I looked at my mother, her face pale and trembling, my father with his jaw clenched, and my sister frozen in her gown. Then I glanced at my grandfather, who stood tall despite his age, his eyes burning with anger and disappointment. "Yes," I said, my voice steady. "I can speak right now," the officer continued. "We've reviewed the documents provided by the bank. The loan was taken out under your name but signed by another party. We'll need your confirmation to proceed with pressing charges." I raised the phone slightly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Yes, officer, I want to press charges." Gasps rippled through the hall. Someone dropped a glass, the shatter echoing like a gavel. My mother staggered back, shaking her head. "No, Nathan, you can't mean that. I'm your mother." Her words cut through me. For a moment, the boy who had once craved her approval hesitated. But then I remembered the countless times I'd been the sacrifice for her schemes, her lies, her favoritism. I remembered being told to be grateful while my sister got everything. I remembered the sting of being invisible, except when I was needed as a pawn. And now I remembered the debt, the fraud, the betrayal. "I do mean it," I said softly but firmly. "You crossed a line and I'm not cleaning up your mess anymore." The officer gave instructions. "Stay where you are. We'll send a unit to take statements. Do not let the suspect leave." The words hit like a hammer. My mother's knees gave out and she slumped into a chair, her face drained of color. My father tried to whisper to her, but his words fell flat. For the first time, they looked small, powerless. My sister finally found her voice, shrill and desperate. "Nathan, please don't do this. Think about what you're doing to me." I turned, my voice shaking with rage. "This isn't about you, Sarah. This is about me, about Mom stealing from me so you could stand here in a dress pretending this day is perfect. You knew, you stayed silent, and now you're asking me to protect you." Her tears spilled freely, but I didn't flinch. The guests were silent, some horrified, some whispering about scandal and betrayal. My grandfather sat down heavily, his cane clattering, and covered his face with his hands. The minutes dragged on like hours. My phone still buzzed with instructions, and the atmosphere grew heavier with every tick of the clock. Then, the sound of sirens pierced the night. They grew louder, closer, until flashing lights spilled through the hall's windows. The doors opened and 2 officers stepped inside. The chatter stopped instantly. One of them, a tall woman with sharp eyes, asked, "Which of you is Nathan Carter?" I raised my hand, my heart pounding. "That's me," she nodded. "We'll need your statement. But first," she turned her gaze to my mother. "Ma'am, we have reason to believe you committed financial fraud by taking out a loan under your son's name without authorization. You'll need to come with us." The room erupted again. My mother shot to her feet, shaking her head violently. "No, this is ridiculous. He's lying. He's making a scene because he's jealous of his sister." She pointed at me, her finger trembling. The officer remained calm. "The documents bear your signature. You can explain everything at the station." My father tried to step in, his voice weak. "Please, there must be some mistake." "Sir, step back," the officer warned. And then it happened. My mother, the woman who had always been untouchable, was handcuffed in front of her family, her friends, and every guest at the wedding she had fought so hard to fund. The sight was surreal. The gasp that went through the crowd was almost physical. As they led her away, she turned her head, eyes wild, and spat out, "You'll regret this, Nathan. You've ruined everything." But for the first time, her words didn't pierce me. They bounced off. I stood taller, straighter, as the officers guided her through the doors. The sirens faded into the night and the silence left behind was suffocating. I turned back to the room. My sister was sobbing, her husband pale and shaken. My father sat slumped, broken, muttering to himself. And my grandfather, after a long silence, looked up at me. His eyes were full of sorrow, but also something else, pride. "You did the right thing, Nathan," he said quietly, but the words carried. "It's about time someone stood up to her." The guests began to murmur again, some leaving quietly, others staying to witness the fallout. The wedding was over. Not with a dance, not with laughter, but with handcuffs and betrayal. In the days that followed, everything unraveled. The news spread quickly, first among relatives, then through the community. The Carter wedding scandal, people called it. My mother faced charges of fraud and identity theft. The bank worked with me to clear my name, though the process was long and draining. My father avoided me, humiliated and bitter. My sister didn't call, didn't text. The only message she sent was a single line: "I hope you're happy." But I wasn't happy. I wasn't celebrating. I was exhausted, grieving the family I thought I had. And yet, beneath that grief, there was relief. For the first time, I wasn't their pawn anymore. I wasn't carrying their burdens. I was free. Weeks later, I visited my grandfather. We sat on his porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon. He patted my hand and said, "You broke the cycle, Nathan. Don't ever let them make you feel guilty for protecting yourself." His words stayed with me. And though my family may never forgive me, though the scars of that night will never fully fade, I know one thing with absolute certainty. I did the right thing. Because sometimes the only way to save yourself is to burn the bridge behind you and never look back.